So my skull sunglasses came in. The sunglasses are quite a bit larger than the skull's face. Plus, I want to invert them just, you know, the eyes should be sunken in, so the glasses need to be inverted. They're just a large size disparity. There's already a large size disparity between my head and this, but at least I didn't want to start cutting this thing and not know how big I need to count for the glasses. So the next step on this is to start taking measurements of my head. So I've spent more time than I expected trying to figure out this cord and the loops and the tassels, and I think I've got it. At least I've got it as close enough that I'm happy with that we're going to proceed with it. So I'll show you what I've got here. So I've done the standard 3-strand braid, and at the end of it I just took one of the strands, looped it, knotted, just your common, you know, overhand knot. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take one of these strands, I'm going to just split. I'm going to completely undo it, split it in half, right? Then I'm going to let's see. I'm still working on this cord. I'm very close because I've done it a couple times, and I will unbraid it so I can get my separate braids, and it just turns out it's not long enough, so I've undone it, redone it a couple times, and I'm splitting all 3 strands. Is that right? Yes. So that way I can do 2 3-strands, which will lead right into the tassel, and then try to do the bow. But I got kind of far on it. I realized it was too short because you need a lot of length to do the bow with the tassels, and I'm hoping this is enough. We're going to see. If not, I'll be doing it yet again. I'm not videoing all this just because it's kind of boring, then also I can watch Midnight Mass. I did not intend to watch that entire show, but I did. It was incredible, and I'm going to watch it again while I do this. And you guys don't want to see me do this anyways. I'll show you the finished product. I think I figured this cord out finally. I mean, I don't know if it's a perfect recreation, but it looks close enough. I've got my 2 loops. These will be my 2 tassels. I mean, this one's a bit long, but you know, I think the tassel starts somewhere right in here. To do the tassel, I'm just going to take some rope. I'm going to de-thread it, and basically you have your length of the thread, you tie it to this one, you fold it over. I'll make a video of that, but that is coming. But I mean, this, I like it. Actually, one of those loops looks a little big. Fix that. There we go. Now those loops look equal, but I mean, that looks really close. Once you put that on the armor, once you get this tassel on there, man, I think we've got something. I mean, those loops, I may adjust those. I'll look at that reference picture, but that looks good. I'm really pleased with how that turned out. Finally, I mean, I've spent so much time knotting and tying and undoing and redoing, but that's not it. It is close enough for the costume. So check this out. I've got this cord done. Well, one end, I still have the other end to do. It took way longer than I expected. But I've got the loops, I've got the 2 tassels. They're not the greatest tassels in the world, but you know what? They will sure work for this costume. And so how this piece works, it goes on the pauldron. There are leather straps going across that'll hold it in place. And then I think it hits somewhere about in there. Got these loops and these tassels hanging off the armor. It's a nice little detail, a cool little detail. It took quite a while. I still need to dye it. It's kind of like a yellowishy, bronzy, dark color. But man, that came out pretty cool, and that looks pretty good compared to the reference photo. So I still have to do this on the other end. I still have to do this to the other cord. So I've got some work to do. I mean, I think now that I know what I'm doing, well, I've done it, so I'm not going to say I know what I'm doing, but I should move a little bit quicker. But this took me quite a while, but I'm really happy that it turned out. It looks very close to the reference. So the first step is unbraiding this coiled rope. It's going to be a typical 3-strand braid. I don't recall how much I needed. I should have made a note of the length before. Since I've already done one, it would have made things easier since I redid that one so many times. But once it's unbraided to a certain length, I mean, this is, what, I don't know, 3 feet or so. Just start typical 3-strand braid. You want to pull it tight so it's a nice tight braid. Every so often I'll give a twist to these strands just so they keep nice and tight. They do get tangled since they're so long. But it is imperative to clamp it down. That way you can pull on it, make sure you're getting it good, tight, consistent braid. Because if you keep it tight, it'll keep it consistent. If you don't have it clamped down, it'll get loose in certain spots. If you tighten other spots, and it won't be a consistent look thickness down the way. And you want a consistent thickness down the way. Okay, I'm trying to remember where I left off because I've done so many of these and tried to determine so many different ways to do it. But I have my braided cord, typical 3 braid. I split the 3 braids all in half to get 6 different strands, create 2 3 braids. That's how I did my loops. I just did, simple bow, made 2 loops, tied them together. And then I extended them out. So I extended these too far. I really only need 4 loops. So instead of a knot all the way at this end, I'm going to move it up to the end. From there, I'm going to create my tassels. And so what I've been doing with the tassels is, let's see if I get to it. So can you see that is the knot that's the end? I'll cut whatever's remaining. I've only had one where I could fold up and have enough to fold back down. So most of them, I cut it down to about 2.5 inches. I take the rope, I unbraid it 5 inches long, so I have 2.5 inches. I tie the knot here in the middle, and then I fold everything above the knot down. You have to untangle it, or it's twisted, untwist it, and that is the tassel. So I'll try to show you how I do that on these. All in all, I've been really happy with how that looks. On the first tassel I did, I had enough excess length where I could fold it up here, tie it around, and it was enough length to come back down to give it, full tassel. I don't have that here. All I have is this length. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some extra strands and I'm going to tie them in the middle, and then I can fold these down, and that'll give it the full length. So if you have enough length, great. If you don't, just add in some strands until you have what you want. Making another tassel, I'm going to do the same thing. So you can see I got a little short on the back side there. I thought all of them were long enough. It wasn't. So I'm trying to push it to the inside to hide it the best I can. Overall, this tassel, it works fine. It could be fuller, sure, but it does what I need it to do. And that's right on. I don't know if these will be too short or not. But if they are, I've just been taking the 3 strands of the rope, putting it right in the middle, tying it, then you fold it down, boom, full tassel. So the cords, the tassels, they are done. They sit on the shoulder pauldrons just like so. There will be leather straps running across. It's got the 2 loops, the tassels in the front and the back like that. It runs on the inside of the pauldron. Typical cotton rope. I made sure it's cotton because cotton is going to dye better. If you get anything that has any amount of polyester, it's not going to dye as well. I knew I needed to dye this, so I looked for the 100% cotton, which is why I got to this size. There was no choice as to which size rope I could get. This was the only size of rope that was 100% cotton. So, maybe I could have taken these strands and made it thinner if I wanted to, because I think it's a little thick compared to the reference photo, but I'm not going to all that trouble. It is close enough, good enough, and I try to limit how much trouble I go to. So I bought 5 yards, and I used just over 3 yards. I think I used, 3 yards. I used about 10 feet, so I used about 5 foot per cord. Is that right? 10 feet, 9 is, yep. I used 10 feet. That's 5 per. I might have been a little bit more efficient, but not by too much. So, 5 feet per shoulder pauldron, which it seems like a lot, but that is what I did. Try to unbraid the rope as much as possible just to give it kind of even. You see these are nice kind of even, somewhat tassels. These back here get a little thick. I didn't quite go as detail-oriented unraveling the rope. It's not bad. Overall, I'm really pleased with these. After my dye fast go with my gray wool, which maybe that wool, I guess they are gray sheep. Maybe some wool is just gray. That seems kind of dark. I'm looking at that. It seems kind of dark for a sheep, but I don't know, man. Maybe that's just the natural wool color. But I'm really happy with this cord. The cord is done. Next up with these, they still need a little more shape. They don't quite have the shape I want. I mean, you see there's a little bit of flare to it. I need to add leather to it. There's leather strapping going across the front. There's leather strap across the back. There's leather panel in the middle. There's leather going across. Lots of leather. But I don't want to start applying the leather until I paint this outside edge. What is next? Probably shoulder armor. You know, I did the pauldrons. Well, the pauldrons, they have a piece that hangs off the side with a bunch of straps. I'm probably going to cut that piece that hangs off the side. Maybe then I'll do the bracers, because all the bracers, the pauldrons, everything, it's a silver metalish type finish, and I don't want to have to paint it multiple times. I'd rather knock it all out in one go. So that requires me to do the pauldrons, the little things that hang off the pauldrons, the bracers, the shin armor, all that stuff. So I can just do all of it. I got more stuff on every time you see me. So I've been working on the belt, so I wanted to kind of approximate the amount of material I have on me that would be around my body, so I had to get an idea of how long the belt needed to be, because I'm cutting the poly web I'm gonna glue inside the foam here, just because this foam, I mean, it's not the strongest stuff, so I need something to clip to, and someone's gonna run the poly web all the way around instead. I could do it just on the ends. I want it all the way around for superior strength. I'm going to do two, just top and bottom, because if you just do one in the middle, it's going to want to move a little bit. If I do one at the top and bottom, it's going to stay still, where it's not going to want to rock or anything, which is preferable. Yep, it does melt. Which would be good, that way it won't fray. So as with this weave, it'd fray eventually. So right now, I'm going to try to figure out these towels. I'm going to dry dye them, make sure they're the right size. I'm going to double check that. I'm wearing my nice wool tunic that did not dye strip. I kept smelling something. I realized this wool still smells like the dye stripper. Yeah, the directions said wash it. You know, it said rinse it after you strip it, then wash it through the washing machine, with soap and all that stuff, or hand wash it. I rinsed it. I skipped the hand washing step, and I'm guessing I should have done that because it just smells kind of weird. I'm guessing it might irritate my skin if I wear it for too long. So I'm going to try to make this quick, but I just need to make sure these towels I've sketched up are the right size and everything looks right. So that's what I'm going to do, so I can dye these things. I'm going to use this awesome, bluish, greenish, grayish leather. Hopefully that'll dye. I felt very confident in the wool, and I was let down. I mean, I let myself down, really, because there's things I could have done, but I didn't. Good. I hope this works. We're going to see. So to prep the leather, I've got a rag. I've got acetone, which is a dangerous chemical. Be careful. And I'm just going to rub the surface of the leather I want to dye with the acetone and see what happens. Looks like nothing is happening. I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, actually, this leather is dyed. Never seen a cow that is this color. But I thought it might, take some of this color off or away. I mean, at first it makes it darker because it's acetone, but acetone evaporates very quickly. I mean, there's nothing on this rag. I don't know if that's good or bad. Does that mean this won't dye? Does it mean, I don't know, does it mean there's blue, green, gray cows running around I've just never seen? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What does that? Oh man, this stuff is strong. Oh. Alright. I don't know what that means. To actually apply the dye, I've got the black liquid dye. I'm just going to put on a rag, apply it directly to the leather. I mean, my plan is to cut the leather apart in this powder and then just put it on like wool or some kind of backing. I've got plenty of extra wool I'm not using because this thing didn't dye out or didn't strip. So I need to make sure this pattern is completely symmetrical just because I'm a stickler for details like that. So I'm going to redraw it onto another sheet of paper and then I guess I'll just tape it to the back and cut it out. Sure, why not? So I've got all my leather cut out. I just used a razor blade on a cutting board, and cutting mat, not a cutting board. I'm not cutting food. And so I sketched it on my paper. I put the paper on top, used a ruler to keep the straight edges, and just traced it and cut. The only thing, these side towels, it looked like, looking at the picture, it looks like instead of coming straight down, they kind of curved into the leg. And so I meant to factor that into when I redrew it. I did not. I'm not going to recut these. I realized as I was like on the last cut of these, and I think it'll be fine. If somebody notices, I'll just say, hey, good eye, good job on you. I mean, I don't know if there's a way I could work in after the fact because the way these patterns work, it just would throw it all off. I think it's fine. I think I am ready to dye these things. Now, it worked so well when I dyed something before, so I'm hoping for even better results this time, but I'm feeling good about it. My hope and faith may be misplaced, but we're going to find that out very soon. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to apply the liquid dye directly to this.
It's the moment we've been waiting for. Will this leather dye? Let's find out. I'm just using RIT dye. I'm going to put on a rag, apply it directly to the leather, and man, I'm hoping for the best because my last thing I tried to undye did not go as expected. Man, it's not doing much at all. I mean, it's maybe if I keep applying it, maybe it'll do something. But good gosh, it's just wiping on, wiping off. Oh man, I don't know if it could be anything with this dye that's been sitting around for a while. Oh man, I'm running out of options here. Everything I'm doing is just not working out like I want it to. I wonder if I could just paint it or something. I mean, I don't know. Like, one of these things has got to start working. And it might be if I did, like, put it in a dye solution and let it soak, maybe that would do more than just wiping it on. I don't know. Questions, questions, questions. So the one I did wipe down with acetone did much better than the one I didn't. The one I didn't, it just kind of bubbled up. So I don't know if more acetone is the answer. I don't know what the answer is. But disappointing. Very disappointing. So here's the black void. It's definitely a bit disappointing. The acetone did help. On this one you see I didn't hit the acetone as hard on this one. And it didn't do much. The one where I hit acetone really well, you can see it's purplish. So, that's great. The back side took the dye really well. Now, it doesn't have the same smooth texture. It's a little bit of a rougher, the backside leather. It's got a little bit of a rougher texture. So my plan right now is I'm just going to use the backside. I don't know if I could do paint or something because, depending on how I move in the costume, you might see the backside and it look kind of weird with this light color. Kind of is what it is, I guess. But if this blue, if the red will get this vivid on the back side of this blue, that would be perfect. I mean, yeah, it's not the texture I wanted. I really wanted this nice leather side. And I don't know if leather is waxed. It's obviously got some kind of coating on it. I was hoping the acetone would take it off. It didn't. I mean, this is best I got. It's purple, and that is not what I want. Maybe if I dyed it again, maybe get closer.
I think what I could have done better, now would it have fixed it? I don't know what I could have done better, is really just scrub the leather better with the acetone. I mean, everything says acetone. Now, I wiped it down. Obviously, looking at the pieces, some it looks like I wiped down better than others. And the problem is black is a tough dye because black always wants to go a little purple. And especially this being blue, it just kicks you one step closer to the purple. So I think that's a big part of it. So next day, this is where I am with my dyed black leather panels. You can see that one I guess I just didn't prep that well. I thought I did better than I did. These looked really good last night. I mean, you can see a little bit of variation in the color, which I don't love. This one is probably my best one. I think it looks a little bit better than it does in the camera. But I think the trick here will be a little bit of black shoe polish. I think that might hide some of these travesties. Next, I need to prep this leather for the red. I'm going to scrub it really hard with acetone to make sure I do a really great job because I'd like for those to turn out. Black is always just a difficult color to dye because you're going to give a bit of a purple tint. You know, my blue base didn't help that. Because you can see, like right here, this streak, that's a really dark black. And then it kind of fades to purple. I don't know how that one got so dark. And maybe I just need to use more acetone. Maybe that is the trick here. So I tried to really saturate the surface, scrub it really good. I think that's the issue before. I think I just kind of would wipe it over but didn't saturate the surface. I mean, we're going to find out if that's a trick, so I'm going to be doing it in a minute. This is what we started with. This is where we've ended up. Look at that. The red came out so great. It is exactly how I hoped it would come out. So it turns out all you need is love. I mean, lots of acetone. The acetone really seemed to do the trick. And the color, it's nice and consistent. So I'm very sure, well, I'm very clear on where I went wrong with the black. One, I made sure that every square inch was completely saturated with acetone. I think that definitely helped. I mean, this is the same stuff that I used on the black. It's all the same leather, the same like bluish grayish leather. The black didn't look that good. I mean, it was kind of hit or miss. I think if I had saturated it as well as I saturated this, that black would have turned out much better. I mean, I guess that's part of the process, living and learning, but I really am liking this red. It looks spot on. So these are my leather panels, or at least how they're going to somewhat go back together. So I don't know if this is just a function of, the red was dyed later, but you see, you line up that point, that corner, and there's a big gap on this side. Same with this side, not quite as big, but still a gap, even though that center is lined up. And I mean, this was a big square. I cut these pieces out from the same thing. It's not like I cut them out separately. These used to all be connected one giant piece. So I cut them apart to color them. So I don't know. I'm hoping that as the red dries out, it'll shrink a little bit. Yeah, this one fits in there pretty decent. That's my ultimate goal. I'm going to glue it from the back so you have a nice tight joint. So these panels are going to look pretty cool. I mean, this red, it turned out so awesome. I love it. I want to make something else out of red leather because this just looks so good. Look, if I'd known what I knew now, I'd be all set. But yeah, I guess that's the price of an education.